Throughout my adventures in Pokémon, I was always in pursuit of one thing. Nothing could compare to the joy of catching a new bug type to add to my team. As a kid, this passion for bug catching expanded past Pokémon as I spent countless hours hunting bugs through the lands of Hyrule, weathering the seasons to complete my museum, and enjoying the thrill of discovering these creatures in my very own backyard. Those around me seemed to be indifferent, scared, or even repulsed by bugs, yet I could never understand why as I marveled at them in all of their otherworldly beauty. Even Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokémon, shared this fascination with bugs that inspired one of the most successful franchises globally. But Tajiri wasn't alone in this fascination, as it is believed Japan has a relatively more favorable disposition towards insects when compared to the rest of the world in relation to cultural entomology, or how humans perceive insects through different media, such as music, art, literature, film, and video games. This led me to wonder, what is the cultural significance of bugs in popular Japanese media? Throughout human history, myths were commonly created to help explain natural phenomena, such as the origin, morphology, and behavior of different insects. For example, a Cochiti myth of the American Southwest states that an Elodie's beetle was responsible for creating our Milky Way galaxy. The beetle was given a bag full of stars and tasked to carefully place each star into the night sky. But because of arrogance and carelessness, the beetle dropped the bag, spilling the stars and creating the Milky Way. The Elodie's beetle, ashamed of its actions, forever hides its face in the dirt whenever it is approached. In reality, when these beetles are approached, they will lower their head, raise their abdomen, and emit an unpleasant odor as a defense mechanism. In African myths, ant behavior was symbolic of the everlasting punishment of carrying a burden, and fireflies were often associated with ghosts and witches. Throughout human existence, many insects have been admired for their ingenuity, beauty, fantastic shapes, and behaviors. Like the Egyptians, who believed the scarab was a messenger from the heavens. These scarabs were beetles that rolled balls of dung across the ground and into burial chambers. This was symbolic of Khepri, an Egyptian god with the head of a scarab beetle who rolled the sun across the sky each day. These scarabs also represented resurrection, as new beetles would emerge from the buried balls of dung. In many Western cultures, butterflies represented the souls of the dead, and moths symbolized the souls being drawn to the divine truth and enlightenment. By the early 8th century, accounts of Japanese mythology and historical events were recorded in ancient texts compiled by the Japanese government. These are known as the Nihon Shoki and Fudoki, the oldest Japanese history books. One of these myths describes the first emperor and heroic founder of Japan's empire, Emperor Jimmu Tenno, climbing a small mountain in Yamato after assuming the throne. From the mountaintop, he looked towards his country and said, "I have a wonderful country. It is narrow, but surrounded by mountains like a pair of dragonflies copulating, resulting in the country being named Akitsushima. Akitsu meaning dragonfly, and Shima meaning a land or an island." There are various speculations about Jimmu's intent, but according to one account, the copulation of dragonflies represents the fertility of a rice paddy, reflecting the rich and prosperous land that he acquired. By the 4th century, the wet paddy rice system would become widespread, with flooded fields and streams transforming the Japanese landscape. This exaggerated the lush environment, much to the benefit of the abundant dragonflies and fireflies that used the rice paddies as fertile breeding grounds for their aquatic larval stages. A chronicle from the 5th century recounts the 21st emperor, Yuryaku Tenno, who was bit by a gadfly while hunting in Yoshino. Within moments of being bitten, a dragonfly snatches the gadfly in its jaws and flies away. The emperor, pleased by the dragonfly's actions, named the field Akitsuno, or Dragonfly Plain, to honor its service. In the Japanese Middle Ages, dragonflies were associated with samurai warriors because of their agility and power. Dragonflies were referred to as kachimushi, or victory insects, symbolic of samurai warriors who are victorious in battle. Additionally, these warriors perceived dragonflies as fearless and never backing off, much like themselves. These insects were incorporated into their martial culture and gained deep and meaningful symbolisms in their ideology. These insects became an emblem adorned on samurai clothes, armor, and family crests, as dragonflies were believed to bring luck when in war. Catching dragonflies was also a popular pastime for centuries in Japan, as these insects were carefully observed in their natural habitat while children created new capture methods. In a collection of music passed down from the late 1100s, one song even detailed how to trap dragonflies. In Japan's first illustrated encyclopedia, Wakan Sanzai Zue, an illustration depicts a female dragonfly tied to a pole to attract male dragonflies to catch. Another method involved wrapping small stones in pieces of cloth, which were then tied to two ends of a string and thrown at the dragonfly. The dragonfly would mistake the device as prey only to become ensnared by the string and fall to the ground. This activity has become increasingly less common due to fewer dragonflies, partly because of environmental degradation and urbanization. Many communities and municipal policies have enacted stream and pond preservation efforts as part of a movement to protect this nature, with dragonflies and fireflies becoming a symbol of environmental regeneration, community rejuvenation, and great national pride. Throughout Japan's history, the dragonfly has gained many meanings. However, it still preserves the primordial notions of sturdiness and bravery, courage, power, but also joy and happiness. It is associated with autumn and is considered a symbol of luck and longevity. They are also referenced in a popular Japanese children's song called Akatambo, which translates to red dragonflies. This song evokes nostalgic feelings of the past and for the old country home of the Furusato. Japanese people now call the countrysides of rice fields Furusato, or one's home region, even if they have spent the whole of their lives amid the crush of a crowded city. As a dragonfly expresses bravery, the firefly was often an expression of unrequited love. The firefly was enshrouded in symbolism and sparked fascination, as these bioluminescent creatures were often associated with a burning passion, the mysterious nature of the night, the souls of the deceased, and impermanence. This concept of impermanence, borrowed from Buddhist thought, teaches that all things are ephemeral and perishable, including human life. Finding beauty as well as sadness in the short life of a firefly, or the brief blossoming of cherry blossoms, is an integral part of the philosophy known as Mono no Aware, acknowledging the wistfulness of the reality that all life must come to pass. According to Mono no Aware, true beauty is found in that which does not last, and in the gentle sadness felt as it fades, reflecting the Japanese beliefs to experience the objective world both internally and directly, to embrace life in all of its imperfections, as all of its fleeting beauty is part of the whole. By letting themselves be moved or affected by any part of this whole of life, they can experience it absolutely, without obscurity and all of its immediacy. According to pioneer firefly researcher Kanza Sakyo, the earliest mention of fireflies in Japanese literary works appeared during the 8th century in the Nihon Shoki and the Manyoshu, a seminal collection of poetry. In the Heian period, fireflies became a symbol in art and literature, appearing in roughly 2,000 poems and many works of literature, such as Murasaki Shikibu's 11th century novel, The Tale of Genji. Our protagonist Genji is on a mission to wed his adopted daughter to a prince named Hotaru, meaning firefly. For the prince to be able to see the daughter's face in the darkness of night, Genji collects fireflies and releases them to light the room. In another scene, Genji relates his broken heart to the visible light of the firefly, stating that the fireflies rule the night, and it is sad to see them when, at every hour, one burns with the searing flame of a love now lost forever. It is believed that this novel, along with the tale of Heike, originated the names of the two popular firefly species in Japan, the Genji and Heike fireflies. These are also the only species in Japan that are aquatic in their larval stages, being symbolic of streams, ponds, and rice fields. Their names may have also been inspired by the Genji and Heike clans that clashed against each other during the 12th century Jinpei War. Legend states that the Genji and Heike fireflies are the ghosts of the warriors from these feuding clans and are said to fight great battles on certain nights of the year. The Genji firefly, being larger, may be reflective of the Genji's clan's eventual victory. Fireflies are also noted to gather in great swarms on willow trees. These trees are often associated with death and mourning. According to one Japanese belief, these are the favorite trees of human ghosts, so the fireflies symbolize the deceased spirits. Fireflies are closely related to the phenomena of hitodama, or will-o'-the-wisp, floating balls of fire that were thought to be the souls of the dead separated from their bodies. As a result, folk beliefs of fireflies being spirits were passed down by older generations, cautioning children to be gentle when handling fireflies, as they are the souls of the dead. This also emphasized how insects were used as an important part of children's education and teaching them about life and death. These symbolic notions would be reflected in other media, such as in music with Hotaru no Hikari, or Light of the Firefly. This song is traditionally sung by students at school graduations, and is commonly used by businesses to usher customers out of the store as they begin preparing to close their doors. Another popular example is director Isao Takahata's 1988 animated film Hotaru no Haka, translated as The Grave of the Fireflies. The movie is based on the 1967 semi-autobiographical short story by Nosaka Akiyuki. Set in the city of Kobe, Japan, the story follows siblings Seita and Setsuko, ages 14 and 4, and their desperate struggle to survive after being orphaned from an air raid during the Pacific War. The young protagonist and the tragic ending create an emotional weight as the innocent victims of war are portrayed. In one scene, Setsuko compares a kamikaze plane to a firefly, thus drawing a parallel between fireflies and bomber planes.
Look, kamikaze.
It looks like a firefly.
The fireflies are a multivalent symbol, signifying the children's deaths and their spirits, the fires that burn the towns, Japanese soldiers and the machinery of war, and the hopeful regeneration of life through nature, something pure and untouched by grief and war. This hopeful regeneration can also be reflected in efforts to conserve the declining firefly populations across Japan, similar to dragonflies. Beginning in the Edo period, firefly catching was a common hobby. This led to firefly merchants who would sell millions of these insects to hotel and restaurant owners who released them into their gardens for customers to enjoy. But the commercialization of fireflies resulted in their populations beginning to dwindle. This trend would only continue as rapid industrialization, urban development, and pollution became more prominent through the Meiji period and the Showa period. In response, nature conservationist groups in the 1960s began campaigns to protect and revive the fireflies. As a result, Hotaru no Sato, or firefly villages, were designated by organizations and volunteers to protect fireflies. These often encompass villages and secluded landscapes where fireflies emerge during the summertime. In addition, events are organized to celebrate the fireflies during Hotaru Matsuri, or firefly festivals. These festivals incorporate live entertainment and activities such as stage performances, craft workshops, and appreciating the fireflies. Just as people appreciate the fireflies flickering before their eyes, so too do they appreciate the songs of the summer cicadas or the autumn crickets. Singing insects have a rich social history in Asia, where celebrations and festivals are routinely held, especially in China and Japan. In the previously mentioned Manyoshu, Cicadas and crickets appear in at least 17 poems, with emphasis on their chirping. These chirps are considered to be the voices of the insects, and thus are linked to strong human emotions, such as the cries of the suzumushi, commonly known as the bell cricket.
岩草の上で眠っているとき、悲恋の嘆き、叫びにも似たスズムシの歌声だけが夜に響いているとある詩人は書きました。
Different species of crickets are prized for their unique voices as they sing through the night, with certain species singled out as representatives of strong emotions. One literary record from the 13th century details an emperor ordering his servants to ride on horseback to Sagano. They were tasked to hunt and cage the beloved singing crickets as a gift to the empress. The songs that were once enjoyed mainly by the nobility gained a wider audience during the Edo period as commoners began keeping crickets as pets. It is said that in the Kansei era, a humble food vendor by the name of Chuzo began collecting pet crickets. He would routinely feed them, and in return, they would reward him with their music. Charmed by their songs, Chuzo's neighbors took an interest and asked if he would be willing to give away his singing crickets. Chuzo obliged, sparking a lucrative craze across Japan and becoming one of the first cricket-selling businesses. Profits soared as more and more people began keeping crickets as pets to listen to their live performances. Inspired by Chuzo's success, others would follow soon after, selling a variety of cages and types of insects. Crickets would traditionally be sold at the end of May, and it was customary to return them to the natural environment around the time of the Bon Festival in mid-August. In China and Japan, staged cricket fights were also a common form of entertainment. According to some historians, the sport dates back to 8th century China, with various handbooks and manuals being written on the topic for both the commoners and the ruling classes. A cricket fight will involve two male crickets that are weighed to the closest hundredth of a gram and then paired off by weight class. Two opposing crickets enter a fighting ring, roughly the size of a dinner plate, with a wall dividing the opponents. A referee signals when to lift the divider, and the tiny fighters lunge and swipe their pincer-like mandibles at blinding speeds. The fight lasts just a few seconds while the referee closely monitors the battle, noting the number of attacks and retreats before declaring a winner. In nature, male crickets are extremely aggressive towards other males and vigorously defend their territories from intruders. Researchers have even conducted experiments that proved males with proportionally larger weaponry won more fights. Male crickets with larger heads and mouths would have a significant increase in success during battles. Owners prize their crickets, so they never let the crickets fight to the death, and injuries are rare under the referee's supervision. In a Pokémon article published by Time in 1999, it describes how grandfathers across Asia would tell stories of growing up during World War II, where they spent countless nights with other children hunting for crickets and training them to fight. The more experience each cricket had, the better a fighter it became, similar to the mechanics of the Pokémon games. But crickets aren't the only bug fighters popular in Japan, for another bug is pitted against each other in similar wrestling tournaments. During the late Heian period and throughout the Kamakura period, one insect gained great symbolic significance with the rise of the samurai. Samurai were fearless and violent warriors who were renowned for their military tactics, their strong culture and nobility, and for pioneering war uniforms and weaponry. Because of their mighty and robust body structure from their armor, they were often associated with the kabuto mushi, or the Japanese rhinoceros beetle. Its Japanese name is a reference to the samurai, with kabuto referring to a samurai helmet, and mushi translating to insects. Because of the beetle's appearance, coupled with its strengths and fighting prowess, they were considered the king of insects. This is reflected in more modern media, like the American stop-motion film, Kubo and the Two Strings. Set in feudal Japan, Kubo embarks on a journey and meets Beetle, an amnesiac samurai who is cursed to take the form of a stag beetle. Additionally, in the Japanese anime series One Piece, there is a powerful warrior by the name of Heracles, who is dressed in beetle stylized armor that is reminiscent of a Hercules beetle. This series contains other beetle characters, such as the mighty Kabu, who ate a bug fruit, and Boss, a beetle created by an evil chemist. The anime follows the protagonist Luffy, who seeks out the open seas to become the king of the pirates. In one instance, he can be seen symbolically chasing the king of insects in the 15th anniversary intro. In Pokémon, there is a bug-type trainer named Samurai, a young boy dressed in samurai armor who lives in Viridian Forest. Even the incredible strength of these beetles used in bug fights is reflected in Pokémon themselves, such as Heracross, a bug fighting type. Like cricket fighting, beetle fights are typically safe as various species of beetles lock horns in combat. To win, the victor must flip their opponent or haul them out of the wrestling ring. In the wild, some beetle species will use their horns as weapons to lift, flip, and toss other males off trees in fights for dominance during mating season. According to a Japanese pet shop owner, Japan is considered to have two types of beetle lovers: those who raise beetles as live pets, and those who collect preserved beetles for display. Live horned and stag beetles are recognized as prized pets throughout Japan, where a considerable amount of study has been given to their care in captivity. This hobby of breeding and caring for stag beetles became increasingly popular throughout Japan in the 1990s. A 2004 research paper on the biological invasion caused by the commercialization of stag beetles in Japan estimated that over 1 million exotic stag beetles were imported to Japan every year. This resulted in ecological risks to native Japanese stag beetles, invasion of imported parasites on exotic beetles, and even criminal smuggling of rare and endangered beetles. This same study estimated the market size of stag beetles in Japan to be over $100 million. This hobby even resulted in vending machines that would dispense live beetles throughout Japan, sparking fear in conservation groups about potentially setting a disturbing precedent for the sale and mistreatment of living creatures. The vending machine owners argue that their devices were safe for beetles and beneficial to their businesses. The beetles were fed before being placed in temperature-controlled machines that had a higher survivability rate than in pet stores. One owner claimed that only 0.1% of his beetles died in vending machines, compared to a 20% fatality rate at pet shops, where there was more movement and stress. Despite this, the Animal Welfare Association argued that such figures were misleading, as the problem with the machines is that they cannot tell the owners how to treat the beetles, so the creatures are more likely to die after they are taken home. But now, you can receive toy beetles from vending machines instead. While insect collection and observation are usually done as an educational activity, it is very common for people to find enjoyment in capturing these insects to keep as pets, with an entire industry devoted to providing the equipment used to capture, observe, and keep insects in captivity. Many of these aspects are reflected throughout modern media, like the video game series Pokémon. Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokémon, stated in a 1999 interview that as a child, he was fascinated by insects and wanted to be an entomologist, a scientist who specializes in the study of insects. Similar to the Pokémon games, he would search for insects and other small creatures like crabs and tadpoles in rivers, under rocks and tall grasses, and in forests. Some bug-catching techniques even made appearances in the Pokémon games, such as placing honey on a piece of tree bark to attract bugs, or kicking trees so that beetles fall out. Satoshi drew inspiration from his affinity for catching bugs, stating that places to catch insects are rare because of urbanization. Kids play inside their homes now, and a lot have forgotten about catching insects. So had I. When I was making games, something clicked, and I decided to make a game with that concept. Like crickets and beetles, trainers could collect Pokémon as prized companions to train and use in combat. Additionally, like many types of bugs, Pokémon can also metamorphose and evolve throughout their journeys. This is especially prevalent in bug-type Pokémon, with many bug types following a larva-pupa-adult evolution. In one instance, a Nymph Cicada Pokémon sheds its skin, unveiling two new Pokémon, Shedinja and Ninjask. There were even bug catching contests in the Johto region that players could participate in. Finding and collecting these bugs adds to the long-term goal to catch them all and encourages curiosity and exploration. But Pokémon wasn't the only Japanese video game series to do this. The Legend of Zelda series also incorporates hunting bugs throughout their video games. Earlier games, like Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker, included the ability to use empty bottles to catch bugs, such as the Fireflies and the Forest Haven. Twilight Princess would first introduce a side quest that involved completing a collection of 24 golden bugs, scattered across the lands of Hyrule. The golden bugs could be given to Agatha at her castle, a one-bedroom apartment, where she releases them to freely roam around. In exchange, Link could receive wallet upgrades for a higher maximum rupee capacity. Skyward Sword also encouraged the player to explore by catching a collection of 12 different bug species. Similar to real life in the Pokémon mechanics, you can shake beetles out of trees, with the Sky Stag Beetle being considered popular amongst children. These collectible items could be sold to Strick, a character who is particularly fond of bugs and could be found in his bedroom admiring his butterfly and beetle collections. Later in the game, Strick can be found on a sky island named Bug Rock, where he runs a bug-catching minigame called Bug Heaven. There is even a side quest that involves Link retrieving a pet horned Colossus beetle for a shopkeeper named Beetle. In more recent games, the shopkeeper Beetle can be found wandering Hyrule with a beetle-shaped backpack in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. The bugs available in these games are symbolic in Japanese culture and can be found throughout Hyrule to be cooked into elixirs. Another Japanese video game that incorporates the ability to explore and capture bugs is none other than the Animal Crossing series, where the player can interact with and collect 80 different species of bugs depending on the season, time, and location. You can listen to the distinct chirps of the summer cicadas, spend the nights of June catching fireflies, or enjoy the sounds of summer ending with the premiere of autumn crickets. Some bugs are attracted to the sap of tree stumps, to the sweet nectar of blooming flowers, and even to rotting food. Some are found under rocks, skidding across water, and hiding in the trees. These bugs can be given to other villagers as gifts, placed as items, sold for currency, or donated to the bug exhibit in the town's museum. The level of meticulous detail is truly outstanding to encourage players to be more curious about the wildlife. For example, when donating bugs to the museum, Blathers, the museum curator, will provide a brief description about the bug. In the bug exhibit, you can examine the creatures of the forest and the wetlands, sit in awe at the butterflies fluttering freely, and learn more about bugs through curated insectariums. This is similar to walkthrough insectarium exhibits across Japan, like the Kashihara City Insectarium. Occasionally, you can participate in the Bug Off, a bug-catching competition hosted by Nat the Chameleon. His son Flick would take his place in New Horizons. When Flick visits the player's island, you can provide him with bugs to commission models, as he views them as his artistic muse and provides praise-filled descriptions. Some of my favorite details from New Horizons include the beetles fighting over the tree sap, the traditional cages for musical crickets, and fleas spawning on animal villagers. The player can even make a large profit off of selling large unique beetles, similar to the real-world cost of the beetle industry.
クワガタを飼育したのを売って4年前に買った。
Other Japanese media, such as in the film industry, have also reflected this positive affinity towards insects, such as the previously mentioned Grave of the Fireflies and Hayao Miyazaki's Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. In the 12th century, the lady who loved insects was part of the Tsutsumi Chunagan Monogatari, a collection of 10 fictional short stories written in the post-late Heian period. In the story, the protagonist is a young, headstrong noble who has a reputation for not caring about her appearance, refusing to conform to societal norms, and having only insects in her heart, being fascinated by their existence. This mirrors the movie's protagonist, Nausicaa, who also looks favorably on the bug-like creatures of the toxic jungle in a world that has been devastated by war.
A perfect Om shell.
While the rest of society views the bugs with fear and disgust, Nausicaa learns to live alongside the creatures and to communicate with them, attempting to protect their existence from other humans. In relation to the short story, Miyazaki stated that unconsciously, Nausicaa and the Japanese princess became one person in my mind. The short story was believed to have been inspired by Fujiwara no Muneseku, who was known as the Minister of Bees. The father and his daughter were nobles that were passionate about plants, music, and bees. They were even rumored to have given nicknames to the bees that they kept. According to one tale, it is said that a swarm of bees sent a noble court into panic. The Minister of Bees calmly took out a loquat branch, using its sweet aroma to gather the bees and impressing the other nobles. Nearly 900 years later, they indirectly inspired an animated masterpiece. Despite this rich history and favorable disposition, the number of Japanese people who get antsy around bugs has gradually increased in more modern times. However, the bugs are still very much appreciated. In a 2023 survey, 43% of Japanese respondents indicated that they liked bugs because they enjoy their colors, sounds, and behaviors. The respondents also noted that bugs have been a familiar presence since childhood and that they play a necessary role in the natural world. It is important to recognize the vital roles that they play within our ecosystems and to appreciate their unique and intricate forms. The music they create, the entertainment they provide, and the gentle reminder that all life must come to pass. Bugs have inspired incredible myths and have rooted themselves in unique cultural perspectives throughout the world. Maybe it's about time for us to pay attention to them again.
昆虫の存在はペット以上のものであり、輪廻転生における霊魂以上のもの、都市政策の課題以上のものなのです。昆虫はその小さな体で文化の歴史全体を象徴しています。その小さな体には計り知れない自然の謎とさまざまな人間の価値観が刻み込まれているのです。